I'm back, and now I'm going to show you a little demo visualization based off of the Little Women dataset. So last time I showed you how we could get this table that has some counts in it, showing the number of times Joe was mentioned in each chapter, and Meg, and Amy, and Beth, and Lori. That's a lot of numbers. It kind of makes my eyes glaze over. It's hard to get much sense of what's going on from that table of numbers. So we're going to make a visualization. We're going to make a plot. Let's take some Python code. Don't worry too much about the code. I'll teach you how to do this as you progress in the course. For now, just take it for granted that you will learn how to make plots. And what we're going to do is we're going to take cumulative counts of the number of times each person was mentioned. And then we're going to put that into a plot. So you can see here this nice line graph that shows how many times each person is mentioned as you progress through the book. So the x-axis is the chapter count, starting from the first chapter and going on to about the 47th chapter. And each line corresponds to one person. For instance, there's Jo. She has that blue line up at the top. And the height of the line counts how many times Jo has been mentioned in the book up to that point in the book. So for instance, by up to chapter 10, Jo has been mentioned somewhere around, I don't know, 350 times or so. Quite a lot. So I mentioned last time that Jo is the primary character in the book, and you can see that from this plot. This plot makes it very apparent very quickly that Jo's line is higher than any of the others. That means she's mentioned a lot more than any of the other sisters. So Jo is really the one you spend an awful lot of time with in this book. Let's look at what else you can see from this plot. One of the things that happens in this book is that one of the sisters, well, the book follows all of them as they grow up. And one of the sisters, as she gets older, she becomes a woman and she falls in love and gets married, and we don't hear much from her after that point. So I want you to take a look at the plot and see if you can tell from this picture which one of the sisters was that. Who's the sister who got married and then we don't hear from much anymore? Pause your video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, I hope you figured it out. If you said Meg, you were right. Well done. What you can see on this picture is that Meg has the yellow line, and her line goes up for a while until somewhere around chapter 27. And then after chapter 27, her line is almost flat. That means she's not getting mentioned anymore in any of the chapters after chapter 27. And that corresponds to what I said. Meg gets married somewhere around chapter 27, then we don't hear much about her anymore in the rest of the book. Okay, so that's one thing you could see from this picture. What else can we get from this picture? Let's talk about Lori. I mentioned Lori as the boy next door. Well, as this book progresses, Lori grows up, and eventually he's no longer a boy; he's a young man. And at one point in the book, he develops a relationship with one of the sisters. He falls in love, and they get married. And then after they get married, the book spends some time talking. We see them in later chapters where it shows us their story together as a couple and raising a family. So I want you to take a close look at this picture and see if you can tell from this picture, who does Lori marry? See if you can tell which of the four sisters Lori marries. Pause your video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, this is a tough one. But if you've said Amy, you are right. Well done. So why is it Amy? How can you tell this is Amy? Well, if you look closely at the line for Laurie, the red line for Laurie, somewhere around chapter 35 and later, you can see Laurie's line wiggles up and kind of wiggles a little bit. And if you look closely, the blue line next to it wiggles the same way. When Laurie's line goes up, the blue line goes up. And when Laurie's line is flat, the blue line is flat. What does that mean? Laurie and the blue line, they're sort of appearing together in the same chapters. Who's the blue line? The blue line is Amy. So when Laurie is mentioned, Amy is mentioned. When Amy is mentioned, Laurie's mentioned. And when Laurie's not mentioned, Amy isn't mentioned. So that corresponds to exactly what I said. Laurie and Amy get married somewhere around chapter 35. And then after that in the book, some of the chapters talk about them as a couple and some of them don't mention them at all. And so that's why you can see their lines wiggle together. All right? So these kind of visualizations can be very powerful. From a visualization, you can look at the data and spot patterns, and that patterns can tell you some pretty interesting stuff about what's underlying the data. Great. In our next video, I will show you another visualization technique you can use. See you then.